Shalom lekulam, Shavua tov vechodesh tov. We have a new moon, we have a new month, we have a new week. So we are in Parashat Bo. What's Parashat Bo? Parashat Bo, we have 3 of the last plagues, and we have the Exodus. We have the whole Exodus this week. That's a very powerful, very powerful week. And as we said before, this is the Shovavim. You have to choose whose side are you taking. Are you taking the side of Pharaoh? It doesn't end well in this parasha. Or you want to take side with the Israelites, with the soul. And that's not easy because, you know, most of us, we can't tell the difference what is soul and what is a body, right? One of the major works of a human being is to find out what's in me is for my soul and what's in me is for my body. Because, you know, I have to know who to associate with and whose side to take in this game of life. Because you want to take the winning side, don't you? Okay, so in this parasha, let's start with the code of the beginning. The name of the parasha is Bo, and many sages are saying Bo. How do you spell it? Bet Aleph. Together, 3. Why? 3 plagues. Okay? But how it's being said, we said many times, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. We are in Exodus 10, verse 1. And God speaks to Moshe, Bo el Paro. The word Bo el Paro, come to Pharaoh, is kind of enigmatic. Why? Because should have said, Lech le Paro, go to Pharaoh. Bo, come to Pharaoh. Oh, there's another expression. In Genesis, there is a story that Yehuda, the son of Jacob, he gets his first son married to a lady named Tamar. His first son dies, unfortunately, and Yehuda says to his second son, Bo el eshet achicha, come to the wife of your brother, get her, but in the sense of impregnate her, so the son that will be born will carry the name of your dead brother. So Bo el means to get somebody pregnant. And God says to Moses, come to Pharaoh. Oh, yes? But if you had a doubt about what the meaning was, you have no doubt anymore when you hear the rest of the verse. Ki ani chabadeti et libo. I made his heart heavy, that he will be that he refuses all the time. V'et lev avadav leman shiti ototai ele bikirbo. So I can put my signs within the midst of him. But then the Rabbi Zohar says, no, don't read it ototai, read it as otiotai. I will put my letters in him, in the midst of him. Now, when somebody impregnates a woman, he puts the semen inside and that starts to grow within. Here he says, put my letters inside him. And, okay, Rabbi Zohar is saying, it's even more simple than that, but we don't know this. Leman, the purpose is come to Pharaoh. Leman, for the purpose that Shiti, I can put my letters Ele in his midst. Now, what's the letters Ele? Now, you have to know, we call this book the book of names. Sefer Shmot. What names? So, from the beginning, we have names playing over here. It's like Moses is born, his name is Moshe. Read it backwards, Hashem, the name, right? Move on. When Moses is standing in front of the burning bush, and God appears to him, he says, I'm the Lord of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, isn't that clear who's talking to him? How many lords Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had? Only one. In the end of that speech that God has to Moses, Moses is saying, okay, I'm going back to Egypt. Who should I say sent me? Didn't we make it clear in the beginning of the discussion? You know that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had one God, and this is the God we're talking about. And Moses saying, who should I say sent me? Like, we can get it. Moses, the great Moses, He doesn't know who's sending him? And the answer is that Moses wanted to know from which level, from which direction, from which frequency is the redemption going to be. Because in the biblical text, God has, especially this one, has a lot of names. Why God has a lot of names? Not that there are many gods, but the perception. Why the perception? What's the story? We have one story in the whole book of Shmot. From exile, from slavery to redemption. What does it mean, redemption? Each one of us has to ask himself, what does it mean, redemption? So finally I get rid of the bad guys in my life. Is that redemption? So finally I get rid of the bad, germs, viruses in my body. What does it mean, redemption? Redemption means to be free. Now, the point is like this, and that is the main teachings over here, especially during this time of Shovavim. The parashot of the Exodus, Shmot, Va'er, Abo, Beshalach, Yitro, Mishpatim, initials, Shovavim. What does it mean? Shovavim means careless behavior. We have the opportunity during this time to overcome our careless behavior. What do you mean careless behavior? Why does someone behave in a careless behavior? Because he has a lack of responsibility. The moment a person has responsibility, he's not going to hurt his interest. But how many times we see intelligent, learned people hurting their own interest by reacting in a non-proper way? Why do we do that? Because that's what we do. We're humans. Humans make mistakes. That's the best thing humans do. Making mistakes. Now the question is, you made a mistake, get up and fix it. How do you fix it? How do you fix your wrongdoings? First of all, you fix the consciousness that made it happen. Because if you don't fix the consciousness, you continue making those mistakes. Correct? It's all about consciousness, nothing but consciousness. Now, let's say, so if we're talking about that we are giving God different names. There's the God of fortune. Oh, God loves me. There's the God of judgment. Oh, God is now getting even with me. Okay? There's the God that he's like, he doesn't care about me. He's too busy. Okay? What is it? How many gods? There's only one God. But I have many ways I perceive the presence of God in my life. Now, the point is very simple. Are we ready to take responsibility for that? For the way we perceive God? Which means, the moment I perceive God as the God of fortune, and I know that God is loving me unconditionally, is going to be there for me any moment, for no matter what happens. How do I feel at that moment? Serenity, peace, tranquility. Do I get angry at that moment? No. What are my chances at that moment to make mistakes by saying the wrong thing at the wrong time? Not so high. Why? Because I have certainty. Because at that moment when I feel, as we said in the previous parasha, that Hashem Hu Elokim, that even when it's not comfortable, when it's not looking nice, when it's like painful and there's no comfort, I'm not in the comfortable, and I know that everything is for the good, in that moment that I have that certainty, I'm relaxed. You know what? Our IQ works much better when we're relaxed, right? We behave at our best when we are relaxed, when we have the certainty that, you know what, everything is for the good. And that's why when Moses gets upset about God, it's like, God, you sent me to help. And the result is that Pharaoh is even meaner than he was before. And I was sent to make it better and it becomes worse. Yeah. And we said no pain, no gain. You want to make things better? It's always getting worse in the beginning. You have, let's say, Your apartment, your house is old, serves you very well. But you know, after a while, there's leaks over here and leaks over there. And here it's, you know, some tiles are not in that place they used to be. In the first, they're starting to move around. And you say, let's make a renovation. Okay? Let's get it. Does it immediately make it better? No, it makes it worse. You have no shower. You have to find friends to get a shower. You can't really walk. You have to jump. You know, you have to jump from here to here. It's not your home. It doesn't look like your home till it's really fixed. And you know what, in renovations, you know when you're starting, you have no idea when you're finishing. Don't play a party, a big party. Don't plan a party, a big party in the house, like in a certain, because you don't know, you plan for 2 weeks and it gets 3 weeks and 4 weeks and 2 months and more than that. It happens. But after it's finished, you say, thank God, it looks like a new home, right? Was it easy? No. Somebody has a problem with his tooth. It's painful, it's aching, you go to the dentist. It's becoming even worse at the dentist, right? But finally, if the dentist did the job, it's going to be much better afterwards. So we know that when you want to get to a better place, there's a price. And if you're human and you know how this world ticks, you know to take the discomfort as, you know what, that's the payment I choose to pay, and I enjoy paying. And that moment, I have the certainty that this discomfort will lead to a better place. Same thing, we said it many times, so we said it last week, somebody is smoking a few packets of cigarettes every day. He wants to be healthy, he stops smoking. The next day, his lungs are open, he can breathe. Yes? No. You get so sick, terribly sick, because through the chemical withdrawal. It's called healing crisis. You want to get better? There's a price. You want to get redeemed. To get redeemed, you have to get out of the comfort zone. Things are not going to continue the way they were. You want to go to a freedom fight. It's not going to be easy. Especially in the beginning. It's going to be very tough. Why? Because everything will fight it. You know, when you want to move something, you want to move the table, right? There's friction. Till you start getting this table moving, you have to put an effort. You want to move your life. That's much harder than moving a table, right? You want to move your life to another level, to another place, state of consciousness. What do you think? It's going to be for free? But Moses is showing all of us, we have that thing. I wanted to do something good, and that's the price. And then in Parashat Vayera, it says, Vayomer Elokim El Moshe. What is Elokim? That's the name when we experience judgment. We think God is angry about me. He's upset about me. You kidding? Do you think you can change God? Can we change God? No, he's endless. You can't change him. What can change? Your perception of God. Don't personify him and do not put on him all your problems. Because, you know, one day you get up in the morning, God is upset about me. The other day, oh, he loves me today. You know, what do you think? God is changing all the time? No. First of all, the first thing we learn when we study everything, all of these writings, God is crazy about each one of us. As the sages are saying, more than a calf wants the milk, the cow wants to give the milk. But they never say more than a child wants the milk, the mother wants to give the milk. Why? Because a Jewish mother, if she wants to give the milk, he has no choice. She's going to run after him. And she's, you know, there's an Israeli joke. What's the difference between a Jewish mother and a Doberman? The Doberman lets go finally. So that's why the sages are saying, no, it's not the Jewish mother. The Jewish mother is forcing it upon the child. God does not force it upon anyone. Because there's no coercion in spirituality. Did you notice, can you force somebody to be happy? Can you force somebody to be successful? Impossible. They have to want it. The same thing, you never see cows running after the calves. Get my milk, right? No, she's standing there. He's hungry, he's going to come and get some. And she can't force it upon him. She doesn't have the, the equipment, the hands. So from God's point of view, more than we want to be happy, more than we want to be free, He wants us to take it, but we have to take it on our own. This is the main rule. So, when we are talking about the book of names, the book of Shmot, it's all about learning that if you see God as the God of judgment, it's not a problem with God, it's a problem with your own perception. Change perception. When you change perception, the whole picture will start changing. Why? You just change glasses from dark to pink. When you wear pink glasses, everything looks pink, right? So the names of God is the way we perceive Him. So freedom is what we said. In the end of Yom Kippur, everybody says in the synagogue, Hashem Hu HaElokim, 7 times. And the congregation repeats. Why? Being free is realizing that even though it looks judgment, it is with love. When you have that confidence, that faith, you are much more free to be the person you want to be. Patience, wisdom, thinking properly, being logic on a positive sense. This is what freedom means. And that's why it's like the games of the names in this, the whole thing. So now, what is a name made of? Letters, right? So what did it say? It says very clear. And God says to Moses, come to Pharaoh, because I want to put my letters within his midst, within him. Why do you want to put letters in him? In Pharaoh? But what did we say? We can look at it as a historical story. It happened 34 centuries ago. Okay? Long time ago. Maybe we can find another story. We go to Disney, they have a lot of nice stories. Let's speak on another story, because that story is boring already. No, it's not boring. Because this story is about you and me. It's about what it says, Chayav kol adam lirot et atzmo kilu hu yotze mimitzrayim. Every person has to see himself like he's getting out of Egypt. Because what is Egypt? Egypt and Pharaoh are the traits inside ourselves that are putting us in bondage. All the belief systems that enslave us. So what does it mean to put my letters in his midst? What do I mean? Because when you want to destroy your own belief systems that do not help you, you have to get in the midst of it and inject light into it. And it says, what letters do God wants to put in Pharaoh? Ele. What's Ele? So Rabbi Exaluria is saying, when Joseph is bringing his 2 sons, Menashe and Ephraim, to Jacob, for the blessing, the first reaction when Jacob sees them, he's kind of startled. He says, Mi ele. English, who are they? What do you mean, who are they? You can't see that these are your grandsons? These are your grandsons. What was he? Oh, he saw in the Holy Spirit, in the Ruach HaKodesh, that from Menashe and Ephraim will come King Yerovam, who put golden calves, one in Beit El, one in Dan, and he said, Ele Elohecha Israel. These are your God Israel, so they don't go to Jerusalem. He was the king of the 10 tribes. What was the result? That few centuries later on, the 10 tribes will get lost and we can't find them till today. We found some remnants, but that's 10 tribes, that's a lot. Out of 12, we're missing millions of them, can't find him. Because that Yerovam said, Mi ele Elohecha Israel, these are your God Israel. But still, there's a code. Mi ele, says the Ari, you take the letters of Mi ele, you reorganize that, you get Elohim, the name of judgment. He sees judgment. Judgment is something that we create. It doesn't come from above, say the sages. It comes from above. It doesn't come from above. So he wanted to complete the name of Elohim within the dark side of every one of us. How does that happen? Okay, so 3 plagues later, we're coming now to another chapter. We've been in chapter 10, now we're in chapter 12. Chapter 12 in Genesis, verse 1. ויאמר השם אל משה ואל אהרון בארץ מצרים לאמור. And God says to Moses and Aaron, החודש הזה לכם ראש חודשים. This month, and he says, I'll translate it verbally. החודש הזה, this month, לכם, for you, and some sages says לכם is the same letters as melech, king. It's yours. ראש חודשים, it's the head of the months. ראשון הוא לכם. The first is לכם, again, twice לכם. Twice לכם. It's like to emphasize, it's for you. For you what? To control. לחודשי השנה. If you control the months, you control your destiny. Why? What was that month? The month of Aviv, spring. What's the first month of the Aviv? Nisan. What sign is it? Taleh, Aries. What was the main god of the Egyptians? Aries, the ram god. Taleh. Okay? What was his name? Ra. What is Ra? Evil. Ratzon atzmi. Selfish desire. Who's our enemy? Somebody outside? Our selfishness. A blind state of mind that is only me. It's only about me. And we know who knows about Aries. The sign of Aries, like the kids of the babies of the zodiac signs. They're always about themselves. Okay? They're cute, they're kind, they're loving, but they get upset that easy. Like kids. Manic depressive. Okay? So what is that we are talking about? It's all about the ram god of the Egyptians. What do? First of all, we bless the month. Which month? The month of the ram. The month of Taleh. Then what we do? All the instructions are here. Then what we do? We take a ram, the 10th day after Rosh Chodesh, to the house, and symbolically we tie them down. What do I mean you tie them down? Tie them down means you control them in front of the Egyptians. And then you wait 5 days. The beginning of the 5th day, we take these lambs and we slaughter them and we roast them on open fire. Al kirbo uchrav. The way it is, not as, chunks. You don't make a big stew. Just roast them on open fire the way they are so everybody sees it's a lamb. The way the Zohar talks about it, the way the Talmud talks about it, it's the biggest voodoo ceremony in the history of mankind. If the god of the Egyptian was the lamb, can you imagine a bunch of Jews go to Bombay or Mumbai and starting slaughtering cows on the main street and make them on the fire? There will be a bloodshed. That's what we did in Egypt. We took their god, we slaughtered him, and we put him in front of everyone in public domain. Everybody can see, and we roasted him on the fire where everybody can look at it. Nobody moved a finger. The Egyptians were exhausted. 9 plagues, they were done. Not totally done. On that night, at midnight, something happened. And that's, I didn't forget. What does it mean, put my letters within him? I'm reading from the Zohar right now, okay? Because the story is known. We slaughter the lamb, we eat the lamb with matzah and maror. Okay, in this parasha we realize why. I'll repeat it again because people forget. I'm shocked. Every year I'm saying the same thing. People forget all over again. Whatever you learn in your kindergarten, it's almost impossible to erase. What does it say in this parasha? That before Rosh Chodesh Nisan, God says to Moses, I'm giving you now, right now, a set of orders. Okay, Shabbat before Rosh Chodesh, you do the blessing of the new moon. Okay, yesterday was Shabbat. We did the blessing of the new moon of Shvat, right? Mm-hmm. It's like that's what you do on the Shabbat before. The Shabbat before Nisan, you are going to do the blessing of the new moon of Nisan, first time in history. And there's a huge study about it in the Talmud. The moment we do that, we have the power, we were given the power to control the new moon. Because the moment we say with the blessing of the new moon, we decide when the new month is starting. Cosmically, astrologically. Every child born from tonight is, according to the Hebrew calendar, I'm talking about today, Sunday. Tonight is Rosh Chodesh. Why is tonight Rosh Chodesh? Because we declared it yesterday in the synagogue. Every child born from tonight on is Aquarius. Right? Mm-hmm. Why? Because we said so. God is giving us the power to tune up His universe. If you get so much power, watch out for your mouth. Think how much power you have as a human being. Words can kill, words can heal. Be careful what you're saying because that's a big power. So, yeah, but the solar calendar today is January 6th. When is going to be the change, the solar change into Aquarius? In the 21st, something like this? We have a lot of time to go. No. We already decided. From tonight, it is Aquarius. This is it. We decide. No one decides for us. We decide. So when we decide that this is the new moon of Aries and it's going to be good, at that time we took the control over Egypt, because their God was the Aries, the ram. First thing, you want to control the dark side, you want to control your own dark side, watch your mouth. Whatever you say is so powerful, because Paro, what's the name Paro? The two aspects to Paro. Pe, Ra, evil mouth, biggest enemy you have. When you talk bad, you talk bad. You know, I came to America a while ago. When I came the first time to America, you know, you meet people, say, let's talk about Kabbalah. And they say, it's a bad day today. I was like shocked. Why are you speaking like this? Why are you saying about yourself, it's a bad day today? You can say, you know, not today, it's not comfortable, it's not the right time, let's set another time. You know, I'm not interested, never, but why are you saying it's a bad day today? Don't you know how powerful words are? Why are you saying like this about yourself? You have other curses, yet you want to curse yourself? Instead of, you know, in addition to it's a bad day today? Or if it was a good day, you already made it bad. No one says something like this. If you're smart, you don't say something like this. So that's one thing. And then, I'll say it again. God says, okay, on the Shabbat before the new moon, you bless the new moon. On the day of the new moon, you're starting to count the days of the new moon. You celebrate Rosh Chodesh, right? The new moon. On the 10th day, you take a lamb, each family takes a lamb and tie it up. On the sundown of the 5th day, you take that lamb, you slaughter the lamb, you roast it on open fire, and you eat that lamb. Al matzot u'marurim tochlu. You eat that lamb with matzah, unleavened bread, and maror, bitter herbs. When did we know that we have to eat matzah? Before Rosh Chodesh. More than 2 weeks before the Exodus. Why did we eat matzah on Pesach? Because we were told to eat matzah weeks before. What about the story we had in the kindergarten? That we eat matzah because we had no time to bake bread. Read the text. Read the text. We eat matzah because we were told more than 2 weeks before that on that day we don't eat leavened bread, only matzah. We prepare matzot for that evening. So why are we eating matzot? But it says also that we didn't have time to bake the bread. Oh yes, we did have. Read the story. We ate the lamb and the matzot on sunset. We celebrated the whole night. We left Egypt only in the morning. We had the whole night to bake the bread. You know, on a Chag you can bake bread. It doesn't. So we ate matzot and we still ate matzot, and it says when God says to Moses, before Rosh Chodesh, more than 2 weeks before time, he said, you eat matzot, Pesach uledorotav, and forever after from now on you eat matzah on Pesach. When was that mitzvah given? More than 2 weeks before the Exodus. So what about we didn't have time? We were told to eat matzot. We said there was a voodoo thing, taking the lamb and roasting it. There's another symbol, you know, the lamb is a symbol of the young ones. They know it all, you know. The younger they are, the more they know. You know that what I'm saying? The more they know. You know, they know everything. They know everything. They're sure they know better than their mothers and fathers and grandparents. They know better than the professor. They know anything than any book that was ever written. Why? Because the more you know that you don't know. The less you know, the more you think you know. So, the Aries is the symbol that I know it all. I don't need to listen. I don't need to learn. It's all about me. It all surrounds about me. You know, you have to grow up and to get mature to realize it's not all about you. It's about the us. And if you don't have the us, just being you is meaningless. And that's why in the prayers, the morning prayer, the evening prayer, the afternoon prayer, Shacharit, Mincha, Arvit, it's all about us. Chonenu, redeem us. Refaenu, heal us. It's all about the us. If you don't know there's a us, you don't know. Simply you don't know. You can't. Can you get really rich by yourself? Without a good team to work with you, can't get rich. Forget it. Nobody can get rich by himself. Okay? It's all about the us, and the us includes your customers, your mates, your teammates, your colleagues, you know, everyone. It's all about the us. That's what Mount Sinai Revelation 7 weeks later was about. And Vayichan Israel keneged har. After 7 weeks they're walking in the desert, they understand the us. They're standing there as one person, as one heart. Then we get the Torah, not a minute earlier. Because you want to get the gain, you have to learn to be a team player. What's the problem? The Aries, the little child, he doesn't know to be a team player. He thinks everything is about him. And if you have a bunch of people, it's all about them, like politicians, for instance, there's no us, there's nothing. It's all chaos. It's all chaos because if you can get together above this ego, you get a lot of big noise. You know what? You get together the best violin player in the world, with the best pianist, with, 20 more violinists, the best in the world, and cello player, all of this, and no one can play with others. When they play in the same place, how does that sound like? You don't want to be there. Only when they know the us to play the symphony with harmony, then you get music. Without it, it's not symphony, it's cacophony. Same thing with a family, with a business place, with a community, with a country. It's all about the us. When does chaos start? When you see only yourself, you can't see anyone else. This is where redemption is. Redemption is the ability of a person to get out of the me and to see the us. But to get out of the me, the selfishness, the egocentric part of the me, that's Pharaoh. Pharaoh is also ha'oref, the neck. You know, the neck in many cultures is stiff neck, red neck. It's all about being totally illogical, not wise, not intelligent, and doing exactly the opposite of your own interest. Not listening, not learning. That's what the neck is a symbol. That's Pharaoh. You know why? Because Pharaoh, if you change the letters all over again, it's hafra'ah. Disturbance. What is the hafra'ah? You know, if you're doing something and you're quiet inside, and you really focus, and you love what you're doing, and you have total faith that you're doing the right thing in the right way, if somebody comes around and makes some noise, you don't bother. But when you have a noise inside of uncertainty and chaos, then he bothers you. Why does he bother you? Because you're not close on who you are. People don't bother us. You know, the nastiest person can be in our around us, in our midst. Some people get so upset they can't even think. And some people don't even notice. Which one of them you want to be? You want to be the one who doesn't notice. Or if you notice, you look, oh, what a shame, the guy must be suffering so much. Right? You don't take it personally. Why? When you are free, when you are redeemed, when you are really free, you don't let others and their mess and chaos to bother your own inner peace. And that's what getting out of Egypt is about, is getting out of that. It's getting out of the Aries. It's getting out of the body consciousness. It's getting out of the stiff neck and stupidity. Getting out of they irritate me, they upset me, and they said, but they started. So what if they started? If you're going to wait for everyone to say something, to do something, when are you going to have a life? Go get a life. Leave them alone. You want to be free? Leave them alone. So why did we have to eat matzah? If the lamb is a symbol of self-centeredness, egocentric, baby, not developed consciousness of, I'm so cute, they'll take me the way I am. You know what? It's nice in the beginning, but after a while, it's tasteless. Correct? And nobody cares for you that much because you're not smart enough. When you behave in that way of like trying to go through the walls and you get upset about everything, and it's called childish behavior. Shovavim. Irresponsible behavior. So, slaughtering the lamb is very symbolic. Is slaughtering the child within me, that part of it, that is like stiff neck, that is self-centered, that part of the child that you really don't want to carry with you beyond 2 years old. The terrible twos. After that, I don't need that. I can leave it behind. You know what? Till 13, 12 for girls. You get bar mitzvah? What does it mean? Leave it behind. Grow up. Take responsibility. You can't just, but they started. Are you 2 years old or something? But it's their fault. It's their fault? What didn't you understand? Thou shalt not have another God. If it's their fault, it means they are God. Because they control you. Do you allow that? Your problem? Your problem? Or you see it as an obstacle. They made a mistake. Now my mind should be, how do I get the best out of it? How do I turn the lemon into a lemonade? That's a grown-up consciousness. What's a connection to the matzah? Another symbol, not just the lamb, is a symbol of self-centeredness. It's the bread. Wheat. How many people have allergy to wheat? Most people today. There's something in wheat that is so, and what is this allergen in the wheat? Gluten. Where's the word gluten coming from? It's coming from the word glue. because that's what glues the dough together. So when there is this carbon dioxide being created by the how do you call it, the yeast, then because it's glued, then it becomes the bubbles inside the bread, then it rises. Okay, that's why you don't put yeast in the matzah. The yeast is the biggest chametz in the world, because that makes it rise. But just a second, why it's called chametz? How do you call a person that everything it's their fault and their fault? Chamutz. Right? And how do you call it in English? Sour. Sourdough. Where is the word coming from? There are two names for chametz in the Torah. Chametz and seor. Sour. That's a Hebrew word, sour. Sourdough. That's the part that rises. Why? Because the wheat, some say the tree of knowledge was wheat. The tree of knowledge, which means wheat has so much power because it's not just the glue. When you see a person that is all about himself in food, that's called gluttony. Gluttony, right? It's all about me, and it's never satiating. That's selfishness. That's another symbol. So what do you do with the flour? You give it water, and it rises. You give it more water, it rises. You give it more water, it rises. And then you leave it standing. What happens? It's continuing to rise. The bread is a symbol for the ego, for the self-centered. It's me and nothing but me. So what do you do with that? You take that bread and you don't let it rise. You make, it's like a remedy. How do you create an inoculation, a vaccination? You take the disease and you weaken it, right? Have you been in a matzah factory, handmade matzah factory?
Yeah.
Have you been?
Yeah.
They pour the water into the flour, then they mix it very fast, and the dough that comes out, there are people, strong people there with big rods, right? Metal rods, and they beat the heck out of that dough. Why? You don't dare rise over here, right? And very fast you have to get it into the oven and bake it so it doesn't have the time to rise. That's, the Zohar says, what is the matzah? It's an inoculation, it's a remedy against pride, against gava, against selfishness. Why do we eat matzah? It's a remedy against our own Pharaoh, our own Egypt. And how do you take the medicines? On the first night, you have to take 4 shots, right? Read the Haggadah. There are 4 times you have to eat a whole matzah on the night of the Seder. If somebody is really infected, they take him to the hospital and they give him 4 shots of antibiotics. Then they send him home, 2 times a day with the meals. Same thing with the matzah. First night, 4 shots, and then for the rest of Pesach, for 7 days, 2 times a day with the meals. That's a remedy. This is a remedy. Says the Zohar, this is a remedy against gava, against pride. And that's why if you want to be free, you have to be first of all free of pride. Who has pride? Empty people. Wise people do not need to show off. That's why they say, I said it many times, there's a Talmudic expression, Istra balagina kish kish karya. This is Aramaic. A coin in a jar makes a lot of noise. Why? Because the jar is empty. When the jar is full, it doesn't make noise. A person who's making a lot of noise, it means it's a coin in a jar. Why is making so much noise? Because there's so much hollow over there. A wise person does not have the need to show off. He knows where he's placed. He knows who he is. He doesn't need recognition. He doesn't need to show off. He doesn't need to other people to, do you know who I am? Go to the reception. They will tell you who you are. What do you think? Why do you need that? So the whole thing of this parasha, on one hand, is stay away from Pharaoh. Stay away from negativity. This is not what is going to get you to a good life. But still, we didn't answer the question. What about putting my letters within him, in his midst, bekirbo? You know what kravayim is? It's his kishkes. It's inside the deepest place of him. What about that? Says the Zohar, when we slaughtered the lamb, when we took the blood and put it on, what the Zohar says, we put it this way, up, down, and also here. We got the letter Hey on the doorpost. And then we had the matzah and the maror. The whole resulted, the midnight of that night of the full moon. God came in and he says, Ani velo malach. Me, not an angel, came inside Egypt with a full force. What was the result? So much power came in. You know, if you get somebody who's dead and you give him an electric shock, that get him to life. Somebody is alive, you give him electric shock, it can kill him, right? So you know, full force can be deadly for one and bring life to others. For the Israelites, it healed them, get them to heights that allow them to leave Egypt without looking backwards. Because ever you think about it, can you even think about the idea, Mashiach comes tomorrow, he goes to Times Square, there's a live broadcast for all TVs in the world. He says, guys, I'm here. Leave everything, go on the planes, we're going to Jerusalem. What do you think will be the reaction of the Jews around the world? Now, today, the kids have to finish school. Now, we have to pack. What our business? It's like, let's have a committee. You know how you want to kill something? Give it to a committee. Correct?
Yes.
How did the Jews in Egypt leave just on one night? We were so high. We were so high. We were, says the Zohar, in the level of prophecy no human being experienced ever. When you see just the godly vision of the universe, you don't care about anything. Not about school, not about property, not about your home, your house. You just go for it. We just go for it. Otherwise, there was no way we'll come out with Moshe. There's no way. You know people. You know, I can't right now. You know, my leg is aching, and you know, my grandmother, she can't walk. Moshe, what do you want? You want to kill us? And what? Do you have a business plan? Did you take a catering for the road? How are we going to eat? What are you doing? Right? We didn't think about it. We just get out. You just got out. So, says the Zohar, on that moment, the Egyptians get plagued with the plague of the firstborn. There was so much power came into Egypt. That moment they were plagued and the firstborns of Egypt died at the instance, or that midnight. On that moment, the Israelites were healed. Healed from what? We didn't tell you the whole story. Not just that they slaughtered the lamb, they circumcised themselves. And they mixed the two bloods, the blood of the lamb and the blood of the circumcision. That is the blood they put on the door. Didn't we say, Bedamai, Vayomer lach bedamai chai, Vayomer lach bedamai chai? And he told you, you will live with your bloods. It's in the Haggadah. We read it every Passover night. When else do we say that? During circumcision. When we say the blessing on the baby after the circumcision, and the Moel says, Vayomer lach bedamai chai, he takes a little bit of the of the wine, and he puts in the mouth of the baby. He's saying it. Remember that? In every circumcision ceremony. Now you see the blood of the lamb and the blood of the circumcision. This is a voodoo ceremony, guys. Admit it. Okay? How do we know? Botasha nitrapu, in that moment the Israelites were healed. Shelamadnu, we learned. Amar Rabbi Yossi, said Rabbi Yossi, מה שכתוב, פסח השם על הפתח. And God will skip over, pass over the door. What do you mean on the door, over the door? It should be, ופסח השם עליכם. And God will pass over you. Not the door. Who was saved? The door? Or the Israelite was saved? It should be pass over you. Right? ומשיב על הפתח, no, the פתח really meant the opening. What's the opening? The opening of the body. What's one of the major openings of the body is the place of the circumcision. This is the place life goes through. You can't impregnate someone without that place, right? פתח הגוף, this is the opening of the body. והווה אומר, זוהי מילה, that was the circumcision. And that means that at that moment, at midnight, he healed the circumcision. How could they walk the next day if they were circumcised? Right? Can you imagine men walking 7 days every day after circumcision? Forget it. They can't walk even 2 steps. אמר רבי שמעון, בשעה שנחצה הלילה, as the night came to the midnight, והכתר הקדוש התעורר אצלה הזכר, and the holy crown appeared, woke up, all of that light, the heavenly light was drawn down to do 2 things. To heal the Israelites, the same light went into the network of the Egyptians. That network was a network of witchcraft.
Oh.
Witchcraft. Whoever knows some about Greek archaeology, it's all about witchcraft. The pyramids were witchcraft mechanism. Everything was about witchcraft. They were the capital witchcraft of the planet. So he'll explain that light healed the Israelites and plagued the Egyptian. The same light. You know, the same way electricity is a bliss to everyone. If you put your finger inside a socket, it's not a bliss, it's a curse. So is there a problem with electricity? No, it's a problem with the way you use it. Okay? So what does it mean, and God passed over the opening? Why it's called opening? This is also the opening to draw in the spirit and the body of the next child. ובואו, עד שלא נימול אברהם היה אטום וסתום מכל צדדיו, till Abram was circumcised, he was blocked. He could not see. How do we know? Immediately after his birth, his circumcision, 99 years old, the next parashat Vayera, and God is being revealed to Abram like never before. Why? The blockage was taken away. Okay? כיוון שנימול, now as he was circumcised, נפתח בו כל, everything opened up. Now he could give birth to Isaac. And he was not blocked as before. Okay. So, then the Zohar continues, verse 92. ועבר השם לנגוף את מצרים, מהו ועבר? And God passed through to plague Egypt. What does it mean? שעבר על שורת הדין של הכתרים, הם מתקשרים בכתרים, אז נהרגו בכורי מצרים. Okay. Egypt was a network of witchcraft to draw metaphysical force from the universe in order to get the power to enslave the world around them. That was all what Egyptians were about. That's why the Israelites were so jinxed, they couldn't even think about getting out. Because, you know, every tyrant is kind of a magician in a way. Being able to convince those people you run their lives and you rob every day that they have no hope. Although there are millions and you're one, and they can overrun you like this. That's magic. That's holding people under a spell, right? Whoever remembers Rosh Hashanah of 89, when somehow, in a magical way, the spell disappeared behind the Iron Curtain, and people went to the street and said, enough, go home. And you know what? They went home. And suddenly there's no Iron Curtain, there's no nightmare of the Soviet Union tyranny. The nightmare was gone. Within few weeks it was over. There was a nightmare that went on for decades. Since 1917 till 1989, this is a huge, long time of tyranny and suffering and misery, Siberia, and executions and Stalin and the KGB. Remember those terrible days? The spell, the moment the spell was gone, poof, like somebody said, no spell. And everybody's like, oh, we can be free. And they got free overnight. What a magic. Something cosmically happened. The Vilna Gaon was a great sage in Vilnius, Lithuania. In the 18th century, he said, on Rosh Hashanah of 1989, the whole world is going to shift to the new era.
72 years.
It was exactly the day he said it will be. On that day, the spell was over and no Iron Curtain anymore. More than that, we learned suddenly cell phones, suddenly internet. People today most people around the world are free to have access to information. Freedom is the word. Like never before. The third world that used to be till 89 doesn't exist anymore. Because you have cell phones in places that have no electricity. How to get charged? Solar panels. Right? It's like weird in the most distant villages in Africa. People have the tools to redeem themselves. They see what's going on around the world. It's a global village. Now it's your choice. You want to be free? You do whatever you want. You have access to wisdom. And knowledge is freedom. And freedom is knowledge. The Egyptians had this network of spell. And there, you know how it is. And who were the heads of it? The firstborns. They were trained since babies to take the lead. They were the top priests, the leaders, and the magicians. So when all of that huge amount of power came into Egypt, can you imagine a lightning hits the network, the internet? What will happen? The servers will crash. And that's what happened. The firstborn of Egypt crashed. And the network was gone. Since then, the Egyptians never built pyramids. They never mummified anymore. They've never been an empire since. They just went down finally into the garbage can of history. If not us, who will remember them? And you know what? Who is the winner? The winner writes history. The world remembers Egypt the way we remember it. Why? Because finally, who is winning? The one who is still on the arena. That's the ones who are winning. We're still around, speaking the same language, telling the same story. And what is a story? Again, put my letters, what the letters? The letters of the name of God. You have to understand, we all have Egypt within us. We all have those faiths, those belief systems, those traits that they are our biggest enemies before anyone else. You know, if somebody abuses me, my problem is first of all not about him, but why does he abuses me? Not everybody can be abused. There are people that you can't abuse them. They will never be insulted. You try to insult them and they offer you help. because they don't feel like being insulted. They feel you are troubled, right? They don't take it personally. Why? They're full. They're balanced. How do I remove my own little enemy within? I have to get the light of God in it. I have to put the letters of God inside me. And that's what is the mitzvah. You know, in many prayer books it says, before you make a mitzvah, you say, Leshem Yechud Kudsha B'Chu Shchintei, to unite the Holy Blessed Be and the Holy Spirit. To unite Youdkevitch with Vavkevitch. In the name of Israel and the name of God, where I'm going right now to do that action. So what do? Every time you do a good deed, it's not just a good deed. Every time you make a religious precept, it's not just the action. Oh God, did you see me doing that? Please write in the notebook when I go up there. You're going to, I have some points. No. And then we say, Vihi Noam Adonai Aleinu. And let's Noam. How do you say Noam? It's like the pleasurable light of God, let him be upon me as I'm doing what I'm doing. Because whenever I make a mitzvah, I'm bringing the letters of God into my midst. And that light is the only thing that can remove my negativity. And that's why Rabbi Zohar is saying, every mitzvah you can see the letters of God. Let's say the mitzvah of charity. How do you see the letters of God in mitzvah of charity? It says, okay, the money you're holding, that's a Yud. Why Yud? Because Yud is a symbol, because every Hebrew letter, how do you start writing it? You make a Yud, and then you continue. With money, you can buy food. You can buy something to wear. You can do a lot of stuff. It's the source of everything. Right? In the physical world. Mm-hmm. That's a Yud. Your hand has 5 fingers. That's a upper hay. Hay is 5. You know, when he said the hay on the door, that's 5. That's where the Chamsa came from. It's not that it's 5 fingers, because it's the hay, which is 5 in Hebrew. Okay? So your hand is 5. The arm that is moving your hand looks like a Vav. Right? So you have Yud, the money. Your hand is 5. Your arm is Vav. We're missing what? A hay, right? That's the hand of the person getting the money. You have Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey. So Rabbi Zohar is saying, in everything you do, you put the letters of God where? In your own midst. When you bring it in, that light destroy your own private pharaoh and heals your nefesh, your soul, your neshama. Heals it from all the abuse it went through. Being subjected to Pharaoh. Being under that, it's going to be bad, it's going to be terrible, I'm sick, I'm that, all this negative thinking, negative speaking, negative behavior. We don't enjoy that. So when we bring that light in, we're in the midst of Pharaoh. That's why it begins, Bo el Paro, unite with Pharaoh and get my name into him, and he will blow from the inside. Why do we need the Torah? So it says, God gave us the Torah and the mitzvot to cleanse us. Lezakot et Israel, lefichach irba lahem Torah mitzvot. So in order to lezakot, what's lezakot? It's coming from the word zach, pure. We get pure when we remove the negativity. How do you remove the negativity? When you bring positivity within it, in its midst. Come into Pharaoh. Get my letters in him. That light will breaking from within. One of the most beautiful scenes in any movie in the last few decades is the scene in the Matrix number 1, in which Neo, he's cornered, he's already been killed, and then he realizes, I'm not going to lose. I'm going to win. I'm going to live no matter what. And then he was dead. He's coming back to life. And then he sees the enemies that attack him as like, it's all letters. It's all letters. Remember that part? He sees everything is letters combinations. And what does he do now? He becomes a ball of light, and he goes in them. And they explode into many, many pieces. Like the 4th of July, and disappear. When you get the light into your enemy, then he will disappear. When you run away from him, you're lost. You get the light into your inner enemy, into inner Pharaoh. That's what the purpose of the mitzvot, that's the purpose of the Torah, that's the purpose of everything we do, is to bring in the light. And you know what? When a person is enlightened, he doesn't need logic anymore. When a person is full of light, he loves everyone. He doesn't need any reason for that. He's patient with everyone. He doesn't need any logical for that. Why? Did you ever ask somebody who's in love, please explain it to me? When you have somebody who's happy, please explain it to me. There's no need. When you're enlightened, you're simply there. You don't need an excuse, a logic. You just love, you just care, and you just feel free. This is this week, to bring the light in so you can feel free. Thank you so much.
Thank you.